I was even surprised today by my Uncle Butch that stopped by. He's the oldest of my mom comes from 10 kids, and he stopped by. It was great to have him in the office and chat with him and stuff like that. And so it was nice to see him, and love when family stops by and gets to say hi to me and stop by the restaurant and had a little food and came in here and hang out. My mom's here too, so he's got to see her brother and stuff. So I just bring that up because, like I said, if you're ever in here, and I was actually loved that my Uncle Butch stopped by because he's a great man. If you have a chance you're ever through Green Bay, stop by. If you see my truck out there, stop by. It's great. I'd love to have lunch with you. I'd love to have a Zevia with you, have a cup of coffee with you. We have good organic coffee to come sit and enjoy us with that way. So I welcome anybody that wants to stop by. I do love chatting with people. If you've watched my stuff and watched my material or a patient at one of the offices that way, definitely stop on by. I encourage you to stop on by. I will definitely do anything I can, unless I'm in a really intense meeting, which I can always just step out for a second. But I would love to see you guys. Some other great things. We have James from down in Florida. He's up here this week, and our software company is doing absolutely incredible. It's exciting when you produce good businesses that do wonderful work, and the Wellness Way will always be my primary focus, but I saw a need to be able to meet the needs of certain software things across the world. And yeah, I will have 5 years from now, my software company will probably be bigger than my whole healthcare company, even though I'll always focus on healthcare. Because the Wellness Way is my love, passion, desire for everything when it comes to business and bringing such a good message to the world. But software is needed in certain things, so that's kind of exciting. Yeah, some other good things have happened already this week. It's been a great year. 2024 is absolutely fantastic, but 2025 will be even better. That's why I do love personal growth and development. That's why we do the Leadership and Longevity Conference. Now, someone said this. They sent me a question. They said, "Doc, you'll answer any question for us, will you not?" I said, "Yeah, I'll answer any question for you." They're like, "You do talk about certain successful businesses and things like that. Do you ever have a business or investment that fails?" Every year, every single year. I think this year, 92% of my investments did well. 8% crashed and burned and stuff. I've closed a couple offices. I opened a lot more than I closed. And their question was, what's the most difficult thing in business? Well, I'm going to say this in general. The most difficult thing in business is people, and the most successful thing in business is people. It really is. I think the thing that brings you most pleasure in the world is people. I think that brings you most pain is people and stuff. And that's just my personal opinion. I welcome the comments or what you think on that way. I think the greatest moments I've ever had in my life had to deal with people. The most painful experiences I ever did in my life is people. And I could contribute to both of those for you. So I was telling you about, yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like, so thank you for the business questions. I will definitely answer those for you. Send me an email if you have any question, pflynn@thewellnessway.com if you want to know something healthcare-wise. Now remember, I can't doctor you through email or on here. I'm just going to give you some ideas and some information that you can take and apply. Just like I tell people say, "Doc, what should I do with some of my money?" I'm like, I'm not a financial advisor. I do well with my money, I really do, and I invest it well, and I start up companies all the time, but mainly people know me for healthcare. But I can honestly tell you, I make a ton of money outside of the Wellness Way, a ton, and stuff, and things that I invest in. Actually, no joke. My team right now, because I own a lot of real estate too. My team right now is out looking at another big commercial building that I might be buying and stuff, and it's a good thing, So, I remember I had no formal training. I just learned things. Obviously I've been a formal training, being a chiropractor, and my other degrees and postgraduate degrees and stuff. But that's just schooling, and everything's just learning. So, all right, that being said, it's January 9th. Let's get into some healthcare questions. And if you do have a private question, I do have my email up right here. I will not say your name. And I'm kind of happy because the only email I have right now is actually from Dr. Laura, but it's more about our office up in, actually it's about a building up in Escanaba, but that's the whole thing. Anyway, so let's do this. Any questions you have, if you do not want to know your name on there, put pflynn@thewellnessway.com. And my daughter's smiling like crazy, so there's got to be some question. Christy, what is it here? All right.
What are the effects of being on birth control?
What are the effects of being on birth control? Well, let's look at what birth control does. It's actually known as an endocrine disruptor. There is a change that happens with the release of your LH and your FSH, which now there's not any follicular development. And so therefore you're not going to have certain hormone productions, including certain estrogens and certain progesterone at the right specific time. And therefore it throws off the whole natural cycle that you're born with. And when you hit puberty, you go into this whole cycle, and therefore it's disrupting it neurologically. So birth control is more about a neurological disruption that leads to an endocrine disruption, and there's a whole host of negative effects to that. It's like this. Dr. Alan Cook and Trinity had a cook-off the other day when it came to a dessert. This was before the new year, and it's kind of funny. They both made wonderful cookies, and they had a little contest. It was cute, and because Dr. Allen can cook also. But if we just would have, threw off some of the ingredients, they wouldn't taste as good. It wouldn't even really could be in a cookie. And that's what happens is when you start to disrupt the whole hormonal pattern that's supposed to happen. And so birth control is a neurological disruptor that leads to endocrine changes that are not normal for your body. And it's kind of scary. It's devastating. It's accepted as normal, which I think is criminal.
Do you have any plans to open up an office in New York?
Here's what happens. The laws in New York would never let us open up. It's really sad. And I will say this. And there's a certain religion, and they wear funny hats and got straggly hairs and got usually beards, that has really changed the laws in New York that would never let us practice there. And that was even before, we even existed that way. They have a stranglehold on it and stuff like that. And so therefore, it makes it very difficult. And so New York will never have a clinic. We have, just because of how their laws are. It's really a stranglehold on what they do. It's actually unethical and stuff. But that's okay. People search out care. They can do a phone consult. But even that's very difficult because it's very difficult to get labs done unless it's controlled by the state. The lab companies are even controlled by the state and stuff. New York, I don't mean the people, but I will say this. I have to say something because there's wonderful individuals in New York, but I don't know why you live there. There's wonderful individuals in California. I don't know why you live there. With all the fires in California, your political people allowed that to happen, but you guys voted for them. And if you didn't vote for them and you voted for somebody else, and you still stay there with bad policies, then you have to deal with the consequences of bad policies. If Wisconsin went totally nuts in their policies, I would move. I would definitely move. Will I continue? Will I fight like crazy? I try to fight politically, even on the federal level, to make sure that people have their rights. But I couldn't live there. I would definitely move. So I would leave Wisconsin in a heartbeat because there'll always be a decent state out there somewhere.
My toddler has developed a horrible eczema.
Your toddler has developed a horrible eczema.
No natural treatments seem to help. What do I do?
Well, remember, I'm very happy that was brought up because they said no natural treatments helped. Natural treatments never help anything. Let me say that again. Drugs will always alter every condition, even if it doesn't not long lasting or even have a, say non-repetitive thing. Start, stop, start, stop. You have to look at natural things as something totally different. People say, Doc, I have this, what can I take? I would say, I have no idea. If you ever look at it this way, eczema, there is some either deficiency, nutritional wise, like vitamin D or vitamin A. There's either some immune trigger. So there's no herb, vitamin, magic supplement, prayer, give me some other stuff that people are doing and stuff of that without finding that immune trigger. So the immune trigger has not been found. So it doesn't matter what you give them from there. It's like people said, Doc, my dad, this happened the other day. They had cardiovascular issues. They're a type 2 diabetic. What can I take? I'm like, if you don't get your blood sugar down, your heart will continue to degenerate. No matter if you took every great herb that I have on the planet, you could take every one of them, and you're only getting it worse. And so the wellness way doesn't practice that way. So you have to dig and find out what is the immune trigger in order to see to help that eczema go away.
No matter how much water I drink,
No matter how much water you drink,
I'm still constipated.
still constipated. Well, it's more than water.
Why? And she's saying, why is this happening?
You gotta remember, the intestine is a smooth muscle. And whenever I see that kind of bowel problems, I always think of gallbladder. And people say, why would you think a gallbladder wasn't that bad? Because a gallbladder, once again, it's like a domino effect. Good chewing, good stomach acid, release of stomach acid in the stomach, and then when it dries into the duodenum, the small intestine, then your gallbladder releases a bunch of bile, and the bile actually has toxins from your liver that get it out and then puts it in the intestinal tract, and then the bile is like a slip inside. It makes it nice and smooth. There's stimulation of muscle contraction that way, and the rhythmic contraction. See, there's a whole cascade of things that do happen. And so therefore, what I need you to do is start in your upper GI, and then take some magnesium citrate to be exact. Remember, there's many forms of magnesium. I like magnesium glycate for different neurological things, magnesium threonate for different neurological things on different realms. I like magnesium citrate for GI, and that will help the bowel. And then once again, I also like chamomile for the bowel. And so therefore, water alone, which is extremely important, is not enough to actually stimulate or actually help the digestive tract get back to normal. So I would also look for some irritation, like even some foods or some overgrowth of bacteria, which can be done by a stool test. Foods, once again, you can get a scratch IgE, or you can get more of an IgA or IgG test done to give you a little bit of idea of the immune response. But there is multiple reasons why.
With garlic being antimicrobial,
Yep.
can you eat too much of it? We make a spread and dip with it and eat a decent amount daily.
Yeah, you can eat too much of anything, but it's going to be very difficult to eat too much garlic. It really is. You know, this happened the other day. So of course we're doing no sugar, so I grabbed a beef stick from Costco, and then we have bulbs of garlic in our full bulb. So I broke it up and just ate the garlic bulb while I chewed on the beef stick, and there was a lot of garlic in there, and actually not crushed, not processed at all. I just ate a whole food garlic. And here's what happens: is its effect has more of after it's absorbed and our body uses it that way. It's actually really good. Actually, the reason why I actually ate the garlic wasn't even antimicrobial. It was actually more based on kidney. Garlic is extremely good for the kidney, extremely good for the kidney. And speaking of my awesome uncle that just left right now, he doesn't have any of these issues, and he's in his 70s that way. But cardiovascular issues, I always worry about. My grandma and grandpa's both died from cardiovascular issues that way unexpectedly. And so therefore I want to make sure that my kidneys and my blood pressure stay good. So I do love garlic. I think you're eating too much garlic when you can smell it through your pores. Because there has been time where you just consume so much, it comes through your pores, and I think you might finally have a little too much.
Should you only take kava occasionally to help with sleep? My daughter says that it's bad for your liver.
No, see, they always perpetuate like kava's bad for your liver. Remember, anything can be bad for anything if you have an allergic or can't process certain things. I'm a kind of person that if you need something continuously, with the exception, there are some exceptions to that rule, okay? Because I do believe that in the summer, or we apologize, in the winter here, we don't get enough sun. So I'm gonna have everybody take a significant amount of vitamin D through the winter months. There's still underlying issues. Kava has a good effect neurologically, so is California poppy, so is valerian, based on what you want to accomplish. But I still like to see people cycle on and off their things and not need it all the time, unless they're a certain herb that's more nutrient based and not a high stimulant. Like, once again, I don't want a person taking licorice for a long period of time, or golden seal. I want to cycle on and off of those, but I really like to see people cycle more on and off.
Shout out to all the people who are jumping on. This is awesome. We've got a
Hey, everybody.
We're at 502.
Nice, thank you for jumping on. I appreciate all you guys for jumping on. Remember guys, if you have any questions, and sometimes people do not want to share their private information, so please do me a favor. You can email me at pflynn@thewellnessway.com. I can see right now I got 4 messages over the last 2 minutes, and I will answer those professionally behind closed doors and send an email that way. Otherwise, you can put it right here. We also have Hunter in here, and also our team will, if the question does not get answered, they will be able to answer a question there. You can ask me any question you want. At the beginning of this live, I also shared other things I do besides, obviously, my whole focus is healthcare, but I know a lot of companies and a lot of businesses invest in a lot of great things that way. I answer the business question on how I do things that way, and excited about my software company that took off like crazy. Now granted, it was 4 years in the making, so it wasn't like that's a surprise. So, anyways, Trini, what you got for next question?
Is there any risk with getting pregnant after age 35?
Is there any risk of getting pregnant after age of 35? Well, the older you get, and, obviously people don't take care of themselves like they sometimes in your 20s, and sometimes, we have aging that happens and oxidative stress and stuff like that. So therefore, some tissues can't handle things as much as when, let's say, 20 years old. And they always try to tell people they're so high risk. Well, the reason why they're so high risk is because they're so unhealthy. So do everything. We had babies past 35, and we had home births, and everything was great. I have a lot of friends that have babies past 35. I have friends that had babies in their 40s, late 40s that way, because they just take care of themselves different. I mean this very sincerely. I believe that OBs have a decent job, but if they were to keep a woman healthy, to prep them to have babies, there wouldn't be any job for them because they don't know what they're doing. There's no medication or procedure they're going to do. Now, once again, I tell people this: if you keep yourself healthy, you could have babies all the way while you're still cycling, and that could be mid to late 40s. I actually had patients that had babies early 50s. Yeah, and we're talking women, not just guys.
Okay. If I think I have PCOS, what can I do?
If you think you have PCOS, get some labs done, number one. Get some labs done because there's androgen dominance. Androgen hormones are like DHEA, androstenedione, DHT, which is dihydrotestosterone, and testosterone itself. And therefore, they become androgen dominant, and there leads to polycystic ovarian syndrome, okay? And what you want to do is you need to get those down. Now, if you want to start some things very important, a lot of PCOS is highly driven by DHT, but also high testosterone. But you can actually start to reduce your sugar like crazy, and that does have a positive effect on it, because that's why, if you notice, most of them have insulin resistance. Most of the time they put you on metformin, which is more about regulating insulin resistance and blood sugar. And therefore, what you can now do is this: you want to make sure those androgens are converting, especially through your liver and other tissues, down to your estrogens, which are more of your hormones. Males are more androgenic than women, and you can do things, look up like white peony. See if you take like white peony for some time and then add some black cohosh, you can really reverse those whole processes. But what it comes down to is the conversion of your androgens is not converting down, so it leaves you in a high level. It's like this: it's like there's a drain in your tub that's not open, so it overflows. So androgens can convert down, and that's why, if you ever notice, a lot of males, they convert down an aromatase of testosterone into estrogens, and now it's a bad day for them. You guys are not converting down what you need to be converted down, and that's very important.
I don't know if this question was asked, but
Yep.
why am I losing so much hair during the winter?
Why do you lose so much hair during the winter? My first thought is vitamin D deficiency and protein deficiency. You need to have a significant amount of protein to make sure you replace your trace minerals, your micro and macronutrients, and obviously then you want to eat fermented vegetables and stuff for your microbials. But then I'm very concerned that you do have vitamin D problems, and maybe even some estrogenic problems if you are deficiencies, if you are losing that during that time.
How can I improve my kidney health?
Number one thing that affects the kidney negatively is blood sugar and toxicity. So you gotta be careful with heavy metals. You gotta be careful with high blood sugars. You gotta be very careful things that your body has to filter out on a regular basis. So therefore, what I want you to do is this. I do love things like garlic, like I just talked about. Garlic is extremely good for the kidneys. So is albizia, so is nettle. But I will tell you this: most people have kidney problems due to blood sugar issues. And it really is. It's really one of the biggest things that do affect your kidneys. That's why diabetics usually end up on some form of dialysis, due to the fact that long chronic high blood sugar oxidizes and glycates. And that's why, if you ever noticed, if you have a hemoglobin A1C, which is glycation of hemoglobin, it's very damaging for the nephrons within the kidney.
My 9-month-old baby boys, under his eyes, are always swollen and get red. It's been happening since he was born. Do you know what it could be?
Well, my first question is, did he get the shots? If he does, there's no doubt why he has some immune reactions going on, and he's still dealing with it.
What do you think about collecting stem cells?
Remember, I've only read a couple papers on stem cells. I do believe it's something that should be done. I really do. I do believe that stem cells have a very good, job within integrative medicine. I've read some probably about 8 or 9 different really good articles about stem cells, especially collecting them from yourself that way. So I'm kind of a fan of it. So there are great integrative doctors out there that can be done. There's other countries that do it even more extensively that you can travel to. So I kind of do like the whole thing if it's done properly by great stem cell doctors.
Do you have any updates on when the Tallow Skincare is launching?
I actually just did. I just got the email. Yeah, yep. So this Saturday I was going to talk about our tallow balms are here. You can go to our website, thewellnessway.com, and yes, it's like because it's something to put on your skin on a regular basis. Getting those essential fatty acids there is important, and getting that retinol, that's very important. And obviously, you know me, I'm very particular about ingredients. I'm very particular about how things are processed and brought to market, just because I'm always going to be judged on my quality, and I'm happy I'm judged by my quality. I hope people take my tallow balm, my herbs and everything to a lab and look for lead and fatty acid content and all these things, because we already did it already, so I hope they do.
Just to follow up, he did not get any of the jabs, not even the vitamin K.
Okay, good. Then here's what happens. That means the baby's probably breastfed. Mama needs to take a good dose of vitamin D and needs to give some vitamin D to the baby, because the immune system is not being regulated properly. And I'd also start taking some medicinal mushrooms, because there's some immune issue there. And but make sure to start the baby on vitamin D drops itself, and then start with like 1,000 IUs per day. Vitamin D K2.
My son is 22 and losing hair.
Son is 22 and losing hair, androgen dominant.
And he had his thyroid checked, and that came back okay.
Yeah, because it's more of an androgens. It's more DHT, consuming too much sugar. You know, as I was young and decided I want to be a chiropractor because I was so immunology focused, I wasn't until I met Christy when I was 24 that I really started to investigate hormones from our perspective. And when I did, I realized I was DHT dominant. And that was stemmed me to start losing my hair. And I didn't figure this out until I was actually later 20s and stuff like that. And I think I could have done like reishi and do things that balance sol palmetto, reduce my sugar intake, and things like that, because that would have even saved my hair instead of that. So there is factors that I wish we could teach our young teenagers. Like, you know, if you look, we just talked about this. Chrissy and I and our team just talked about this. My daughters are absolutely gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. They're absolutely incredible young ladies too. It's not a joke, and I am bragging about them because how amazing they are. But our daughter's skin is actually quite incredible. Our girls don't experience acne. Our girls don't experience these things because how we run our household. And so they don't end up with the problems that a lot of these kids do. And, oh, Flynn girls, you're so lucky. It has nothing to do with luck. Nothing to do with luck at all. It's all taking care of yourself. And it's just normal for them. They don't have a problem going to somebody's house and they have all crap food. And they just say, they don't say anything. They enjoy the time with wonderful people. And they just pass up or bring their own snacks and things like that. And they're very respectful, just like we are. And so therefore, but it's choice. And it's important for skincare to make sure that you're eating good things, because it's a reflection of what's going on from the inside.
If you have been on birth control for 14 plus years, how do you get off of it? Do you just stop, or do you need supplements and vitamins, etc.?
If you've been on birth control, I'm just repeating it because I forgot. I gotta repeat because we have it here. If you're on birth control, and should you just stop, or should you take some supplements, things like this? First of all, just stop. Just stop. Do you understand? Now, that doesn't mean things are going to all go back to normal. Okay? I will tell you this though, and I have to step back and talk about this first. Your body, no matter if you've taken the COVID jab, no matter if you've taken drugs for a long period of time, no matter if you've had some major illness, your body always wants to be normal. It always does. You're not genetically programmed for a disease. You may trigger a gene and have an epigenetic response, but you are not genetically programmed for a disease. Your body's trying to have normal blood pressure, normal blood sugar, but we are bombarding it so massively on a regular basis. So the first thing you want to do is just stop the abuse of an endocrine disruptor. Now, a lot of people will just go back to normal. They're just can recover. A lot of people need support of their liver, of their neurological tissue, of of the organs affected by long-term use. There is no doubt. There needs some neurological support because you might need to start taking some Don Quai for some FSA stimulation and some other things that way. There is no doubt. And there are possibilities where there's permanency, where things are messed up the rest of your life. And then you might need drugs, say in the rest of your life. And that's the difficult part of why we need to get back to our youth and prepare them and teach them. That's why I'm so excited about RFK Jr. Is he going to come in and wipe out the whole system? No, it's virtually impossible to do that. People are too ingrained to do bad things. But at least if we can hold people accountable for all the lies, like the whole pandemic and the vaccine and all the things that they did to people, and if we can just get people on right, people realize this. Do you know why I never worry about business? Because our current healthcare system produces a lot of patients for us every single day. You know what I'm saying? The advice that they give is so bad that I don't worry about a career. Never have. I've been busy my whole career. The loss rate grows every single year, regardless and stuff. Because maintain your health is a 50-50 relationship. What do I mean by that? I have to do my 50%, you have to do your 50% for us to make 100%. If I just do mine and you don't do anything about yours, or you just do yours and do anything about mine, you're just in a bad situation. So, all right, good time for one or two more questions.
My kids are picky eaters.
Yep.
I want to instill healthy habits, but it is challenging since they are picky.
Yeah.
Is there a supplement or vitamin regime that you recommend for kids while we work on food choices?
Yeah, I recommend that we have to make sure that they just at least get the essentials. Vitamin D is important. Magnesium is important. Magnesium is done by leafy greens. And one of the reasons why I supplement with citrate, magnesium citrate, and magnesium glycinate and magnesium threonate is because I purposely don't eat enough greens. I just don't like them as much, so I supplement for my bad behavior. Do you hear what I said, guys? No. I will eat a lot of greens. I had green beans last night with just good old pork. I had about a pound of pork, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm going to supplement with some things and potassium that way to do that way. So you just want to make it look essentials. I love sauerkraut. I don't have to ever worry about vitamin C because sauerkraut is so high. You might not get your kids to do it because they're picky. But you know what the easiest way to actually make a child not picky about food? Okay, and I'm gonna explain it this way. I have coined the Flynn method to getting rid of all of your sugar cravings. The Flynn method of reducing sugar cravings is 100% effective. 100%. It has never failed in the test of time since I've given that advice. Because the easiest way to get rid of your sugar cravings is to die. It's 100% effective. You'll never have a sugar craving again. Because everybody will always have sugar cravings, just even by nature of stress. Okay? Guess what happens? Now, saying that, I have the Flynn method for picky eaters. It's 100% effective. It's 100% effective for your kids to make sure they're not picky eaters. Let them go without food. They don't want to eat what you produce, then guess what happens? You don't get to go in the refrigerator and get something else. You eat what I put in front of you. Because if you're putting really good, high-dense nutrition food in front of them and they don't want to eat it, if I were to choose, I'll make you laugh because you know how much I love liver. Oh, I did have a chunk of liver. I took about 2 ounces chunk of liver last night too. If I were to have a organic, grass-fed, perfect liverwurst sitting next to me right here, and a Krispy Kreme donut, which I've never eaten, okay? But by nature, how they both taste, I would choose a Krispy Kreme donut over the liver. Just by nature, I would. Because we're always gonna look at that sweet, more pleasurable thing for food, because food is more about pleasure than it is about nutrients. When you look at eating, now we need to eat more for nutrients than pleasure, but the idea is this: pleasure is always gonna drive us more than anything else. So a very good method for picky eaters is let them starve a little bit. And we had a rule in our house, You eat what we make. If you don't, guess what happens? You can eat tomorrow breakfast and stuff. So I watch it. And they're on. So everybody's picky, and there's no doubt every child's picky. No, my child's really picky. You know what makes them not picky? Getting really hungry. They eat. Now there are one exceptions to the rule. There is one exception to the rule. Mentally disabled kids or kids severe in autism spectrum, because they would literally starve. They would literally starve. I mean, starve, like to death. So there is a little difference. So there are exceptions to the rule, but most kids are not the exception to the rule. All right, one more question. What do we got there, Chrissy?
This one's near and dear to my heart.
Near and dear to your heart.
My husband and I are in our early 30s.
Husband and I are in our early 30s.
We've been trying to have a baby for 2 years.
Trying to have a baby for 2 years.
Everything at the OBGYN is fine.
Everything at the OBGYN is fine.
What would you recommend to do next to have a baby?
Well, what we do next to have a baby, well, one thing I want to say is this. The OB did a really good job to make sure that you had no blockage of the fallopian tubes, no tumors, no damage to your uterine lining, probably have a good job knowing sperm count to your mam. So therefore, guess what happens? And you didn't have any miscarriages, so you're not even really, implanting on that way. Both of you guys need to get your hormones tested. You need a Dutch and a thyroid hormones done, because obviously there's going to be some problems there, leading to the uterine lining, something planting on. Because even if you fertilize the egg, if there's a uterine lining problem, which is all hormone regulated, and also nutrient regulated. And the reason why Chrissy said that's dear to her heart, because that was our life, and therefore I went through the same processes that way. So I encourage you to call one of our offices. Go to findaclinic.com, or find a clinic after you go to thewellnessway.com. Click on the button on the top right in your area. If you don't have one in your area, just use a phone consult with one of the docs closest to you. And but labs are the number one thing. Labs are the number one thing by far. If you're looking for this, without a proper lab done, it's very difficult to give you guidance on what to do.
One last thing. Where
One
can
last
they
thing.
find you? Online, social media, ADP. What is ADP?
Well, ADP stands for a different perspective, because I always give a different perspective, because we're dominant in the medical system, which is, I call it the fire department system, which is just like right now. Oh, California, we need the fire department to put out the house fires and do all that stuff. But eventually there's gonna need some carpenters to come and rebuild the house. That's what I do, that's what all else I do does, that's what actually, there should be two forms of looking at the human body. I understand that there's fires, people break legs, they could possibly die, I understand that. I'm actually a big fan of those kind of things. But to think you're going to rebuild the house with an axe and hose, like the fire department has, you can't. Just like the carpenter cannot put out the fire. There's no hammer, there's no plaster, there's no 2x4 that's going to put out a fire. You actually contribute to it that way. So the idea is this: is we both have a very important job, and it's a different perspective. And we have a show every Saturday morning to actually teach you. Right now, we're doing cardiovascular and statins and stuff. And remember, in anything, I will say this, and I'll say this very, very plainly, because we saw this during COVID. Any medical professional that does anything for prevention, when their job is drugs or surgery, will actually only lead to destruction, because statin drugs and vaccines are the two biggest things for prevention. And how is that done for everybody? We have the sickest kids, we have the sickest generation, we have more heart disease ever on the planet, we have more sick people every single year, cost of healthcare goes up every single year. And if it was true capitalism based on results, medicine would have gone bankrupt as a business. But if they stick into the emergency care system, I think we are one of the best in the world. It's just that healthcare is not what we have. We have a bureaucracy of special interests that are governing what we're doing as far as healthcare, and most people are lazy too. I don't want to be derogatory, but most people are very lazy. I have family members that would bitch and moan about being sick, but do nothing for it, and not change their diet, not get out and exercise, not do the right things. And they know around me not to ever complain, because I'll say, it's your fault, because you didn't have to eat that Frosted Flakes and Fruit Loops and all the junk and high carbohydrate diets and high blood sugar, and then you're screaming you have diabetes and you're worried about insulin at such a high cost. You know how you don't have to worry about insulin being high cost? Don't need it. Now, are there some exceptions to the rules where something happens with type 1 diabetes? Yeah, but vaccines can cause type 1 diabetes, just normal shots. So we can stem that one too. Anyways, that being said, guys, appreciate you guys as always. Do we get kicked off TikTok today at all?
No.
No, my goodness. There
We
must have been.
people on TikTok.
What's that?
We had a lot of people on.
Good, good. Awesome. All right, guys. We will see you guys soon. All right, good job, everybody.
Two.